to another Saber Showcase, and today I've got a double feature for you guys. We are going to be taking a look at two Mystery Sabers from Starfall Sabers. This is Mystery Saber number 74, and this is Mystery Saber number 73, both ordered together as a pair. And before we get straight into the measurements, I'd just like to say what you get in the box when you order from him. You'll receive your Saber, or Sabers if you ordered multiple. Both of mine came with blade plugs, which are in the Sabers right now, but you'll get a close-up shot of those in the measurements. Both of them came with chargers. Chargers for the Sabers here, and both of them can be used with either. They are not locked to the Saber that they came with because they both use the same battery and charging system. And both Sabers came with a blade. For reference, these are both thin-walled blades, but thin-walled NeoPixel blades, which means they're not for dueling. So without further ado, let's go straight into the measurements. Alright, first off we're going to take a look at the measurements for the Copper Saber, or the light side saber, and it is just a hair over 12 inches. And let's go ahead and bring the scale in here. Make sure that's set to 0. There we go. Sometimes it takes a second, and it is just a smidge over 16 ounces, which is about a pound. A pound that's 16 ounces. Let's take this off. We can go ahead and just look at that. The saber has some acid etching on it. If you look along the banding up here especially, it's almost floral, like they look like vines. I think it looks really, really pretty. I really like that a lot, and because this is a Mystery Saber, I did not get any sort of design input in this, so this was all just something that was put in, which is nice. Now, thumb screws are what it came with. We're going to go ahead and pop this. You'll notice this kind of popped out. Maybe I could show it off just again. There are pogo pins in here. This is a NeoPixel setup, and there are pogo pins, and what those are little pins that are inside here, and they kind of pop out the blade when you put it in, or a blade plug you'll see here. See, it just pops out just a little bit. And this is the blade plug that came with the Saber, just standard NeoPixel setup there. Looks really good ignited, and I'm going to go ahead and move that off and loosen that. We'll just look inside, just basic NeoPixel stuff. Beautiful shroud here. I don't know if I want to get it acid etched. Let's go ahead and show off the bottom for the speaker ports. Really, really ornate speaker port, actually. I think it looks really, really good. And we're going to go ahead and open it up. And it is a simple, just one thumb screw here. Take that all the way out. And this thumb screw actually has been cut to size to fit this particular saber. So, beautiful crystal reveal. The crystal points up and has this sort of cage behind it. Really, really, really pretty. Look at that. Isn't that clean? Really cleanly comes off. It's all just the same sort of general design with the banding. Looks really, really good. You'll notice it starts large up here and then gets smaller as it goes down. And right here, I don't know if I'll be able to get this out with a fingernail. It is kind of tough. Saber is very loud. This is a kill key. I don't think I've shown off a kill key on my channel before. Basically, these go into the charging port of Sabers, and while they're in there, the Saber will not take any battery charge at all. It'll just kind of sit there in like a permanent sleep mode until this is removed, and then you can charge the Saber. You can't actually turn it on while the kill key is installed. And I don't know if we could just zoom out and get a medium shot of the Saber. I want to show off the crystal. When you pull the kill key out, it's going to be loud again. The crystal turns on, and it turns on and changes color depending on what color you have selected for the blade when it's turned on, which I think is a really, really nice touch. So let's go ahead and look at the second Saber. And let's get in here for the Sith Saber, also known as the Gold Saber because of the gold banding it has here. Now this one is actually just a hair over 12.5, so it is the longer of the two. I'm going to say it's 12 3/4. So just longer than the other one, and we'll go ahead and get a weight, and I'm sure this will be heavier than the first one. Yeah, 18 ounces, which is a little bit over a pound. About a pound and a tenth, pound and a quarter, about there. So ever so slightly heavier than the other one, and we'll go ahead and just really take this one in. Now, this one is different from the other one, obviously. They're both completely unique mystery sabers, but they both share an iconic thing, which is they both have banding. Now, the other one obviously had copper, and this has a beautiful gold. I think the gold looks excellent here on the black, especially with the kind of bronze, goldish thumb screws. So we'll go ahead and take a look. If you look up by the shroud, I'll turn it over for the blade plug. That's what it looks like with the blade plug in it. If you look here, up towards the shroud, there's a little bit of like banding here. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but it does look quite nice. There's some light weathering on this one. When compared to the other one that had acid etching to weather it, this one just seems like hand weathering. Definitely looks like it's used. Definitely looks like a very royal Sith Saber. And we'll go ahead and look at the bottom just to look at the speaker port. Now the speaker port is a little less involved than the copper one, but still very, very pretty. And that weathering looks really great. So just like the other one, simple thumb screw. Turn that there. Bam, this comes out. It's actually, this one is slightly longer than the other one, meaning that this has a farther depth than the other saber. So you cannot swap these around because they will either go in too far or poke out too far, depending. They are cut to size. So we'll go ahead, just put that in there. Go ahead and open this up. Oh, this one's a little tight. We'll go ahead and finally get this open, and you'll notice here that this thumb screw is actually shorter than the copper one that held the copper chassis in there. These are cut to size, so you cannot interchange them. And we're going to go ahead and show off this opening. And this one too has a crystal reveal, and the crystal reveal for this one points down. That's just a quartz crystal, just like the other one. Same sort of caging in there. Looks really, really, really pretty. And same sort of design here where the banding gets smaller as it goes down. And now that we're on this one, I would like to say that the kill key is black here, which matches the saber. I do like that the kill keys are different colors, so I know which is which, though they both fit into each saber easy peasy. If you look in there, the chassis itself, I didn't show this off too much. I'm going to rotate this around. Didn't show this off too much on the other one. So if we look here, it's really, really tight in there. Like, this is not going to come out. This is by far, of all the sabers I own, the most secure chassis system I have seen. It is brilliantly done by Nathan Barnes of Wild Space Outpost. We're not going to talk about Wild Space Outpost or Nathan Barnes' work on this particular video, because I do have another video planned to talk about him, but let's just go ahead and appreciate that. I mean, look at that board. It is snug in there. Really, really nice. Really easy to get in there with the port too. And we're going to go ahead and pull this kill key out. This one is a little quieter just because it's on a different sound font. But let's go ahead and keep those kill keys out, and we'll go over and ignite this. So join me over in my dark corner of my apartment for that. So here we are in the darkest corner of my apartment again, and I'd like to remind all of you that what a camera lens can see is a lot different than what our eyes can see. So you're going to be seeing this blade as extremely white, but for me it's going to be a very dark red. So just use the light around me as a sort of barometer for what the saber itself is going to look like. Also, this saber is real loud, so get ready for this turning on. Beautiful ignition. Nice. And we're using the Sith Saber, the one with the gold accents on it. And we'll just... Can you tell I don't two-hand sabers very often? Don't really know what I'm doing. Oh, beautiful. Super responsive. Nice and loud. Excellent stuff. Now this font is called Ruin, and it is exclusive to Starfall Sabers. That's another thing about getting sabers from Nick Cohen at Starfall Sabers. These fonts are exclusive to these sabers, and you can't get them anywhere else, and they sound excellent. This is just one of them, and you'll see a different one for the next saber. This one's definitely a darker Sith-style font. Absolutely. Excellent. Isn't that gorgeous? And we're going to go ahead and turn this off. And normally I would just cut away real quick, but really pay attention to how this goes out. glows a beautiful red just at the bottom of the blade for a little bit, gets darker, and then it's gone. Now to show off the light side copper saber, and this is another Starfall exclusive font called the High Republic, and it's meant to sound a little bit like swords clashing. Like, pay attention to the sound effects and also look at how slow this ignition is. Beautiful, slowly coming out. Go ahead and give this a turn, get some spins in there. And the flashing and clashing, like I said, beautiful undertones of the sword. A sort of, lightsaber deflection as the overtones. Really nice stuff. Beautiful shock, and we'll just let the hum play a little bit. Beautiful humming. Now the other saber has this as well, but I was going to wait until now to show it off just at the end. If you press the buttons sort of at the same time, one after the other, just separated by a half second, you'll notice there's a little click. It's hard to hear over the blaster deflection, but it activates color change mode. And if you just rotate the saber, it will rotate through a color wheel. And once we get it to a color we like, let's go ahead and set it to a sort of magenta. And there we go. And let me tell you, on-the-fly color changing with that precise color changing is really, really a wonderful feature. Nathan Barnes did an excellent job on that. So let's go ahead and I'll give you my final thoughts on working with Starfall, and that'll be the end of the video. Now let's go ahead and talk about Starfall Sabers and the man behind it, Nick Cohen. Starfall offers a wide selection of purchasing options from him, everything from fully custom commissions down to semi-custom and mystery sabers, just a ton of options really. When his store is open, the way that he conducts it is he will sort of open in batches similar to Saber Trio, I would say, where he'll take on a bunch of work and then close up shop when he feels like he's taken on enough, where he doesn't want to overcrowd himself, so that way he can get the orders out in a timely fashion and not have people waiting for very long. So if you go to his store and you don't see anything for purchase, you don't see a mystery saber or a commission slot or anything, just check out his Instagram and you'll probably see a post about when he's going to be reopening. He's very adamant about making sure that everybody knows. He always has everything in his bio, everything in his comment section. I mean, if you want to get into the saber game as a sabersmith, just take one look at the way that Starfall Sabers runs their Instagram and you will be incredibly impressed. Just do everything that Nick does and you will start to see growth, because I've never seen a sabersmith handle themselves so professionally and so well on social media platforms as much as Nick. But you don't need me for all of that. You can see all of that yourself, right? So what's it like actually talking to him? That sort of customer interaction, one-on-one, behind the scenes, the sort of stuff that you're not supposed to see, right? Now, obviously, these are two mystery sabers. Because of that, I don't get very much input. I'll talk about what a mystery saber truly means in the later half of this sort of discussion here, where I talk about who I think these sabers are for. But I still did get some input with him. When I purchased them, he reached out to me. I was able to have slight communication. I told him, hey, I bought two of these at the same time. I'd like them to be a pair. He says, oh, I can't make the same saber twice. It's not going to happen. It goes against my artist code. Obviously, I fully understand that. I want him to make two mystery sabers that are just sort of a paired, unit. Something that can go next to each other on a shelf, and you can really think to yourself and say, yeah, those are two things that match. In that case, he was ecstatic to do it. And talking with him, he has what I like to call a professionally casual tone, meaning he's not completely stilted as if you're talking to a suit, but he's not completely casual as if you're talking to a friend. He very much has a way that he likes to conduct himself and interact with his customers, and it is very professional, it's very polite, it's very kind, and still at the same time, you can tell that he's a man who genuinely cares about the work that he's making. I just have two highlights that I'd really like to touch on in my communication with him. One was a point where he sent me a message along the lines of, I have this great idea for what I want the two sabers to have. I want one of them to have this beautiful gold banding, and I want the other one to have this beautiful copper banding, and I think the two of those next to each other, it's going to look really pretty. And I say to myself, that's a great idea. That's something that a super creative and clever person like him would come up with, and he was able to think of that idea and then completely incorporate those two things. I mean, the copper banding and the gold banding on these two sabers really brings them together as a pair. I mean, if you put them next to each other, they're at exactly the same sort of height and distance from each other, and they look excellent. And just sort of getting a message like that from him was really nice, because it tells me that there's a person, like a real good artist, behind this store that I'm buying from. It was my first time buying from a sabersmith and not a store, and it's really just a different experience. And the second thing I'd like to highlight was my sabers were a little late. You know, I had been waiting 4 months, and this is not at all a problem or a complaint. I'm sure if you order from him now, you will get your sabers completely on time. This was during the height of the pandemic in 2020, and because of that, parts were really hard to come by. But one thing I appreciated is that right at the point where I was thinking, oh geez, are my sabers going to come on time? He sends me a message that he very clearly sent to a bunch of other people. It was kind of written in a standard way, but still was really nice to see. Just telling everybody, hey, your stuff might be late. It's a little tough right now. Please be understanding. And I was totally understanding and appreciative that he sent that out. There are a couple, we're not going to name them. I would never name Ultra Sabers out loud, that just won't send you messages when your stuff is late. So, you know, very cool to get that from him. Now let's go ahead and talk about who I think these sabers are for. I'd like to make something very clear. Nick Cohen and his work is exceptional. He is an absolute master of the craft. I've seen him handle tons of styles of saber, but he very much has a distinct art style unique to himself, right? Like all artists do. And if you're going to purchase a mystery saber from him or from anyone, just use this as a catch-all for any mystery saber. I really want you to not do it as your first saber. That's not a good idea. First of all, you don't know if you're even going to like the hobby. Second of all, you don't know if you're going to like what you get. And the only way that you can really know, even if you know that you want a mystery saber, you need to make sure that you know the artist well. Like I said, Nick Cohen is great on Instagram, and this is why I think he's a great first person to go to if you want to elevate yourself from maybe a store like Vader's Vault or the Patch Store up to a sabersmith, you know, something more unique and personal. He's a great first start because he has such a well-documented catalog of his work. You can go onto Instagram and look at every saber he's done. You can go onto YouTube and look at tons of videos for all the installed ones. That's another great thing about him. When you order an installed saber from him, he sends you a video on how to activate it, which is super helpful for me because there's features here that I don't have on a lot of my other sabers, and it's nice to know exactly how to do it, where to press the buttons, etc., etc. So take some time. If you want a mystery saber, please just take some time and look through their body of work, right? You really want to take some time and make sure that you know the kind of art style they have, right? You want to make sure that what you're getting is going to be a mystery, but it's going to be a mystery in the way that you like. If that's something that you fully understand and you've gone ahead and done all the research and you feel like this is sort of a thing you want to jump into, there is the pro that a mystery saber is always going to be cheaper than just a full commission. You know, it's a great way to get a piece from a really talented and booked and busy artist like Starfall Sabers, without having to pay the large price of a custom commission, which obviously, you know, he's deserving of that money, but I know everybody can't afford that. So a mystery saber is a great place to start there. So if you really feel like it's, you know, you have a couple sabers under your belt and you really feel like it's a time to maybe go for something a little bigger, I would say Nick Cohen, great place to start. Starfall Sabers is just excellent. He's deserving of all the praise that he gets. I genuinely don't have a single bad thing to say about him. And honestly, if I purchase from him again, I'm super excited. And what are you doing? You can't go in that deck. She's been banished from the Saber studio. She's being a bit too frisky in here. She's about to knock Grogu over, and that's just not happening. But I hope you guys had a good time with this video. If you liked it, leave a like on it. If you disliked it, go ahead and dislike it. Please, you do whatever you want. I don't get to control what you do. I know this was a little bit of a longer one. Thanks again for watching to the end, but I had two sabers to talk about, so you know how I am. I'm a little long-winded. If you have any questions, please leave some comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. I check the comments every day to see if there's anything that I can respond to. I genuinely really love doing it. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. I'll see you next month with another Saber review.